Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Wednesday, September 4th, 11 p.m. Mountain Time 2019. It's true. Hurricane Dorian has just been upgraded from Cat 2 to Cat 3 as it moves over the warm waters and the eye wall is replaced and the intensity and the waters allow it to grow. So it's re-intensified, increasing 5 miles per hour to 115, sustained at Cat 3, gusting to over 130, offshore, maybe just 80 miles from Savannah. Keep calm, it's boom time. Devastation is obvious. Here in the northern Bahamas, here's the Freeport region or Abaco Islands, where it looks like more like a tsunami than a hurricane, but it was Cat 5 when it hit. Now Dorian strengthens as it closes in on the Carolinas, and we have this CNN video.
Chris, the latest with the storm, it's almost a Category 3, just barely hanging on to that Category 2
Cat 3
status
now,
with
baby.
winds 110 miles per hour. 111 would be a Category 3 with gusts of 130. Moving to the north at 8, right now it's about 130 miles south of Charleston. They will be feeling the tropical storm force winds tonight, and conditions will continue to deteriorate as we go through tomorrow. Already getting those rain bands from South Carolina all the way down through Georgia, and even Florida still feeling it as well. Could be a Category 2, possibly fluctuating to a Category 3 sometime overnight tonight into tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. But Charleston could get quite a bit of storm surge. That's going to be one of the main threats. And then as the storm races off to the north, North Carolina is in it just as much, Chris, with a lot of storm surge, wind, and rain.
Yes, indeed, you heard it here, but she didn't get the update. Here we have the GO 16 natural color shortwave IR. And these are the most recent satellite images that I'm bringing you. This is live. So you can, this is a live composite of the last hour. So in the final position is where the storm is now. It's just offshore South Carolina. You can see the bands have moved all the way in past almost the entire state. The furthest portions of South Carolina seeing these bands. Central Georgia seeing some of the initial bands here from Dorian, and those bands are actually going to make it to Alabama, in my opinion. Almost a tippy touch there. Right there. Some of the effects of the storm already hitting Alabama, as the president suggested. So he's not a liar, although the map he showed the other day was a little dated. But there is some effects of Dorian touching Alabama, maybe a little precipitation getting there. But the main threat is as this moves north and then hugs the coast, is this eye wall coming in contact with almost 100, 150 miles of shoreline here, maybe up to 250 miles of shoreline, depending on how this storm unwinds. It's just increased. There is a new eye wall replacement here. You can see a strengthening western edge here. So this eye wall, if it increases up into the mid Cat 3 range, will tighten up here as it moves north. And it will strengthen the entire time until this eye wall area encounters the land. So there's still maybe 6 hours of intensification possible here, and we'll be watching it closely. If we need to update you in the morning, we will. But it's looking like the models are pretty solid out 2 days now. Massive international rescue and relief effort underway in ravaged Bahamas as Hurricane Dorian aims at the Carolinas. We showed you the pictures. It's not a fake storm. It is one of the most devastating storms ever to hit these islands, because never before a storm of this magnitude has gone directly over and sat there for almost several days, to be quite honest. Hurricane Dorian will pound the coast of Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, including Virginia through Friday. Dorian's outer rain bands are lashing coastal parts of the southeast. Hurricane and storm surge warnings are posted along the North and South Carolina coast currently. The worst impact along the Georgia and South Carolina coast will be felt into early Thursday morning. Peak impacts will arrive in North Carolina and southeastern Virginia Thursday into Friday. Dorian could then strike Atlantic Canada, as we predicted a week ago, bringing up the 1927 Nova Scotia hurricane, which this is following a similar path. Nothing's changed. Hurricane Dorian makes Bahamians, the latest climate crisis victims, only because the New York Times said so. There is no facts based on this except what they wrote here, which is all conjecture and bullshit. And they look at what they put right up here. Opinion. Because they know it's the exact opposite of the truth. So they just put it in the op-ed page and they write complete opposite narrative to brainwash the masses. Because no one's going to look up here and say, oh, it's just an opinion. This must not be real. When we know that's exactly the truth. The country has a tiny carbon footprint, but carries the burden of being ground zero for global warming. Which, by the way, if let's say global warming started back here in 98, global major hurricane frequency has been decreasing steadily in a linear fashion, opposite of global warming, upwards fashion. Global major hurricane frequency has been decreasing. So how they can tie this any way to global warming makes no logical sense because there is no connection. If the global major hurricane frequency is decreasing, then how is it related to, why is it our fault? Hello! Fucking frauds. Oh my God. These satellite images show Grand Bahama before and after Dorian's wrath. Now, for those of you idiots that don't know how to research or fact check or anything, and you just watch shit and you believe it and you tell people, oh my God, did you see the plesiosaur in Antarctica? I watched that guy, he's awesome. Or like the giant mountain mud fossil guy and all that other nonsense. You can watch it. And here's the fake before and after pictures of Grand Bahama before the storm and during the peak. Yeah, when the eye wall hit. There's no island. That means everyone is at risk of death or drowning, which many of them have. And the numbers are just coming in, 20 dead, which is going to rise into the hundreds, if not thousands. Hurricane Dorian still a major threat to the U.S. through storm surge at 6 to 10 feet expected in some areas in northern South Carolina and North Carolina. So heads up there. Check the storm surge maps. Come over here to the National Hurricane Center. And here, flash flooding potential, wind speed probabilities, and the storm surge inundation map. Storm surge watch and warning map. Go check it out. If you live here and you care about your safety and you want to know if you're going to be underwater, well, it'll tell you over there. And according to Advisory 46A, coming out at 8 p.m., let's refresh this and get a newer one, hopefully. Yeah, we're at 47 here. It's showing a major hurricane, Cat 3, right offshore South Carolina tomorrow, turning back into Cat 2, landfall in North Carolina, landfall in the Outer Banks. So it's many days of misery up in this region. I hope you heeded our warnings and you're preparing or you got out of Dodge because it's not going to be a fun ride. It's going to be a minor perturbation, but the power may be off for days. The supply chains will be cut off, and you may be cut off from the Outer Banks if you didn't leave. You also may be dead. Those are just the facts. CNN's climate crisis town hall happened tonight. It's full of total nonsense. Here's like 700 updates from the climate nonsense network, CNN. And they go over the 10 key lines. Look at this guy, this lunatic. I hope he's not going to be the next president. Look at this guy. Or that one. Holy shit. Are you kidding? Look at this guy, Buttlick, whatever his name is. Andrew Yang, kiss my ass. Joe Biden touches young women. Bernie Sanders is a Nazi. Elizabeth Warren is a Pocahontas. And Buttlick said that successfully combating climate change might be more challenging than winning World War II. Yeah, especially when you're as stupid as you are, Buttlick. Cory Booker is not even, well, anyway, yeah. He's our next president. What the fuck? Well, whoever's selected will be selected. It has nothing to do with your vote. O'Rourke would spend federal dollars to help skateboarders in other flood-prone areas. He doesn't even wear a tie. We get to see his wrinkly neck like he's some hip schmuck. You look like a dirty prick. Put a fucking tie on, you loser. Holy shit, he wants to be president. I can't wear a tie. I'm trying to be cool. I skateboard and shit. I didn't even put the Grecian formula in this year. So I look older. O'Rourke brings up statehood for Puerto Rico. Of course he does. Looking for that Puerto Rican vote. Now, Buttlig uses more private planes than almost any other politician. He says, look, I'm going to be the president, so I'm full of shit and I'm going to do it anyway. Ah! No one else has to do this, just me. I'm allowed to do it. Aha! So that's his position. There he is. Potentially the youngest idiot to be selected ever as president. If they select this guy, guess what happens to him? Bullet enters here and exits out the back. That's what happens there. Buttlig also says that Trump may be the most remembered president for failure to act on climate. I believe this to be true. This is the one oxymoronic statement where this guy is true. He's being factual here because Trump, unknowingly, is going to be heralded as a hero or a genius in pointing out the fact that climate change is BS. Even though he may not know the science, or maybe he does, that's unimportant. These people claim he doesn't. And he's just like, coal, drill, baby, drill. He is that, but he's also, doesn't want to pollute the world. He lives on it. Hello. But Buttlig says that Trump may be the most remembered for failure to act on climate. I believe that's true because he's not going to misappropriate billions of dollars to some CO2 tax and some carbon bullshit or any of the other nonsense that you pricks with blue eyes that might as well be Satanists. It looks like he's holding his hands together in cuffs with his $8,000 Movado watch on. What a prick. As if he has any relationship to humanity. Yeah. A guy this young that is running for president does not know what 99% of you and I know. He's never been to jail. He's never had to pick cigarette butts off the street to get his nicotine fix. He certainly hasn't hung out with the homeless. He doesn't know what down by the river is. He doesn't know any shit. This guy's not, he's lived a privileged spoon up his ass. Fuck this guy. And every other single person on that list. Not a single one of those represent you or I. And if you think they do, my God, you got a long way to go. Polar chill to grip Central and Western Europe this week after they were burning up. No one's going to report on this, but Electroverse. I'm sure they're reporting how hot it is here on the tip of Portugal, though. It's global warming right here, but the entire 400 million square miles of below average, no one's fucking reporting on. Zero. It's like this. Is that you, Mary? Central and Western Europe will kick off meteorological autumn with a brutal kick in the cold blast ass, with temperatures in some regions forecast to plunge as much as 16 C below average for this time of year. Holy sh... Oh my God, is that Scandinavia? Damn. That must global warming. South America, it's dry and cold winter. Lowers fruit and vegetable production, especially the southern tip near Antarctica. Could be the aliens, probably HAARP though. A particularly cold and dry winter, including cold and dry, probably was created by governments worldwide, killing the crops so that they would starve to death. Victoria experiences record cold August. Multiple sites average their coldest month ever. Plus the looming grand solar minimum and huge snowflakes and other amazing pictures. That proves it. Take a look. It's proven. What is Greenland melting? Nope. I knew it. Mass gain. 1 gigatons mass gain. No one's reporting on Greenland. I haven't heard a word on Greenland for weeks. Since, remember that mid-July festival right there? Nothing on Greenland. Let's look at some records here. We're talking all-time records. Coldest ever. The town of Rutherglen equaled the coldest ever August recorded in 104 years. Deniliquin Airport's 8.9 C tied its all-time lowest August mean temp from 2008, whatever. Can't even read this shit. Swan Hill Aerodome's average is 9.1, busted the previous all-time record of 9.3 by 0.2 C. Both Albury and Mangalore airports observed their lowest August mean temperature since 1994, while the blah, blah, blah. It was cold. It was cold. I swear to God. Port Piries, cold August. Look at it. Look at that. This is temperature anomaly, and the whole continent below normal. Up to 16 C, maybe 15% of the continent. But the bomb is reporting on this record heat on the coast. I guarantee it. Huh. Apples, oranges. Apples, oranges. Global warming, facts. Global warming, reality. Boom! Did I mention that Hurricane Dorian increased by moving over warmer water as we suggested 4 days ago after it left the Bahamas? I'm now at 115 Cat 3, pressure 955 millibars. Probably dropping. I would say dropping to 935 before it re-increases and moves back to Cat 2. But not for 6 to 10 hours. This baby's going to increase. It's anyone's guess how strong it will get by morning as it approaches Charleston. It's boom time, kids. Love reporting on it. It's cold in Australia. Magnitude 5.2 earthquake reported in Turangi. Many people are thinking Taupo will erupt. Well, let's look at the facts. GNS Science says Lake Taupo earthquake swarm is not linked to volcanic activity. I tend not to disagree. I'm going to disagree on this. But what I think is important to learn is what they say here. This is Lenny Rutherford. Taupo is a dormant, not extinct volcano. A bit scary for the locals, I'd imagine, however. And look at the swarm around the caldera rim. Now, hello. If you don't think this has to do with the volcano itself, then what does it have to do with? Now, this volcano happens to be on a mid-ocean ridge, and we've seen an uptick in spreading on the Atlantic. And that's what they're going for here. This is on a mid-ocean ridge where there's spreading happening, and Taupo happens to be similar to the Iceland volcanoes. Only problem is this is one of the most violent rhyolitic volcanoes on Earth. So when this baby blows, it's very unpredictable, like St. Helens. You only have a few days. So we're not out of the woods. If this earthquake swarm continues, if these upticks around the caldera rim continue, it means that something's happening in the subsurface here that could lead to a weakening or stressing of the subsurface, which leads to a slight collapse and an explosion. Rhyolite is highly silicious, very dangerous, and devastating. The last time that this volcano blew was 1,800 years ago during a grand solar minimum. And it covered all of the area, all of New Zealand, with at least 1 centimeter of ash, and some areas over 100 centimeters of ash. So do not disregard this uptick in any way. Keep a close eye on it. We will know. We'll have a 6 or 7 day window. You'll see bulging. We'll see some lithospheric flexure. And at that point, you better run. Get out of Dodge. Seismic update. No quakes of note. 5.0 in the Kirul Islands. While this mid-ocean ridge area continues to spread. Overall, quite normal. Now, seismic update. Space weather news. Hello. Holy macaroni. It might be dab time, kids. Let's look at this and let's assess the numbers. I'm just checking the efficacy of our newest crop, so bear with me. I think it's Samoa Kush. Oh, very medicinal. This is delicious. I recommend wholeheartedly. Now, if you can just bear with us. And we're back. Check out the ghost magnetometer. You can see that the positive and the negative have separated and they've gone off the charts. If this was reality, we'd be dead. So we're not dead, so we're probably alive. So this, that is a good harvest. Wow. Good times, some more kush. Anyway, we've entered geomagnetic instability coming from KP2 to KP4 in a matter of 3 hours. Hours of powers. And if you can do your own homework, let's come over and look. And let's open the image in a new tab. Do a dab. And I want to teach you a little bit about space weather. You've got the BZ up top here, the phi angle here at Discover Solar Wind, density in yellow, plasma speed in purple, and temperature in green. Now, what you can see is literally in the last day, plasma density has popped up a little and then up a little more, and now it's getting a little jiggy, and there's an uptick there. See that vertical line here? We also have plasma speed dropping off down into the 450 region and kicking back up. This is that small coronal hole that we're coupling with, the newest coronal hole. And so that's what's happening. The phi angle is now all over the place. We're now back Earth to Sun, and soon Sun back to Earth as the BC shifts wildly. So we're going to be watching this closely. Holy shit. Oh, what I was going to get to. Let's go to it real quick. So we're coupling with this coronal hole. And that means good news for you space weather watchers. Because not only, holy macaroni, check out the GOES electron flux. This is real jiggy, real quick. We could be seeing some perturbations to the grid from this little minor activity. But we could definitely be seeing some aurora borealis. Yes! It's almost better than the geomagnetic storm we had, and this is just a minor perturbation. But we have aurora potentially penetrating all the way down through Ontario into the Great Lakes region. Heads up, Top Knot! Get outside, you fucking fraud. No, not really. He'll be here in a few days. I do digress. It is aurora season. Remember 2 years ago they said auroras will never happen again. It's all your fault. Pond of boiling water continues to grow in Kilauea. Holy macaroni! Oh my God, that is spring water. Wow. Did I tell you a pond of boiling water continues to grow in the Kilauea caldera? I mean, it's like the largest hot tub on the planet. Let's do it! I think that if I started a Facebook group called Hot Tub Time Machine and we're all going to go to Kilauea into the boiling tub of cauldron, people would actually go. What do you think? Which one of my subscribers is going to be the first one to start that group or that event? Let's all start an event called Kilauea Caldera Hot Tub Time Machine. And let's go there New Year's 2020. Let's all meet in the caldera over there. Let's see how many sheep we can eliminate early. No, that's a terrible thought, but let's do it anyway. Area 51 gone wild. Kilauea Caldera, New Year. It's boom time. Have you ever dreamed of your flesh falling from your body as you descend into the caldera of death? Happy New Year! I can't make this up. Yeah, I just did. Worldwide volcano news update. Ducono, Nevados de Chilan. Also, Ibico. I'm not even cursing. Ibico erupted quite significantly today to 10,000 feet. Puff, puff, pass. Also, possible activity continued. Ducono, 6,000 feet. And if you're a foot guy, Shivalush wins it. Puffing up to 18,000 feet. That's FL 180. Grand Solar Minimum channel. In case you didn't know. Now, good friend of the channel, Ice Age Farmer, has come up with the Grand Solar Minimum Growing Degree Days tool. Modern agriculture is at risk due to cyclical changes in our sun's output. We know this historically due to the Dalton Grand Solar Minimum, the Maunder Minimum, and the associated effects climatologically in the Northern Hemisphere. And there's subsequent societal effects due to crop loss and famine and unrest. Now, but I do digress. Those are just facts. Those pesky things. It's all your fault, and you better pay your carbon tax. Now, Ice Age Farmer's page tracks the change in growing degree days in the U.S. between 2018 and 2019. This is the amount of time you have to plant food to save your ass. So I put in my zip code, and I was happy to find out that I was totally fluxed. My GGD has decreased in Pagosa Springs to 64.59%. I was wondering why, for the first year ever, my summer squash started only producing last week. We've only probably gotten 8 to 10 pounds. But in the next 2 weeks, I should increase that to 80 to 100 pounds and so on and so forth, and last on through October. But we've never seen a season like this. Usually I'm in the 80 to 100 pound range per week here at this time, and we just started. And that is because we have dropped 35.41% in the GDD. It's been extremely cool with a very late start, and we're going to have a very early end. So if you're wondering why your crops are failing, come check out the tool that I'll leave you linked below from the Ice Age Farmer. I think it's the grass pollen. I have to eat some honey. And check out your results by simply putting your zip in. Let me see. Anyway, you get the point. You get the point. Links below. Now, let's listen to this schmuck. This is the Climate Network News Channel, or the Climate Nonsense Network. And this is Chad Myers, who's almost as big of a dick as Chris Cuomo. And again, no tie. Like, what the fuck? These guys are so cool. They need to look dirty. I mean, if you're getting paid that much fucking money, wear a tie. Or go home. Especially with this story, where he's like, I used to be a skeptic, okay? And then one day, CO2 hit 400. And I was like, oh, and I knew at that point. And then he rubbed his nipples like this. And then he was like, I knew it was our fault and we were doomed. And so, I used to be a climate skeptic, and now I have become a lizard man. CO2 taxes. What a fucking schmuck. Check it out.
Once a climate change skeptic. I get it. Years ago, I didn't think the world's climate would actually change due to global warming gases. I was convinced that at some point the Earth would reach a greenhouse gas equilibrium, where the ocean and plant life would absorb the excess CO2 that humans produced. This would acidify the ocean, kill the coral reefs, and destroy the ocean food chain, but leave the climate intact. Then in 2013, CO2 concentrations in the atmosphere passed 400 parts per million. That's when I knew the oceans and the plants couldn't keep up the demand we were placing on them. There would be no equilibrium, and the climate would change first. So I went out to learn as much as I could about these climate-changing gases, the science, the facts, and the myths. When you sort the facts from the fiction, you may see things as I do now.
Boom! I hope you were affected. I hope that made an impact on you. And Bernie Sanders is as much a fraud as Adolf Hitler. Now, let's get back to the schmuck who Chris Myers. Now, he used to be a skeptic. I know. And I once thought that once CO2 and equilibrium and blah, blah, blah. But I've studied all the science. Except this paper, which came out April 6, 2018, which is over a year ago, and he just did that video. Convergent evidence for widespread rock nitrogen sources in Earth's surface environments. I know that's a lot for you to grab, but here, they've done it for you. Global warming is undermined by these new discoveries. Because what it says is that as CO2 rises, plants will suck it up because nitrogen will continue to be emanated and outgassed from the surface of the planet, from our bedrock. That's where most of the nitrogen comes from. Oh, that's where all of it comes from. No, we just dump it on farms because Monsanto sells it and you buy it. And then it runs off in the rivers because only like 2% is used by the crops. But the 98% causes toxic blooms that your children swim in, and you all buy $1 million homes on the Gulf Coast. That's what's fucking happening. But over a year and a half ago, we had evidence that nitrogen availability is the central controller of terrestrial plant growth, and thereby the sequestration of carbon, which is all the global warming alarmists are looking for. But as CO2 rises, this sequestration rises, which is why the planet is greening and there's no warming and everything's awesome. And that guy's a loser, Chris Myers, because he didn't look at any of the science. This is the only paper on the topic. So this is the only paper he would have had to look at. And he didn't look at it. Now the Pentagon declares war on fake news, and they use a green Trump as like they're taking him down. What the fuck? It's going to protect us from the polarizing viral disinformation. I want to inform you that the disinformation that they claim is real information 10 years later. All the scientific heresies are scientific facts 3 decades later. So how an AI device that's implanted by DARPA is going to scrub the internet of fake news is anyone's guess. Because it's when it finds out that human history is false, is it's going to scrub that? It's AI, man. Oh my God. You have entered idiocracy, and it's being controlled by idiots who are about to scrub everything, because everything is fake news. So once it figures that out, there'll be no more information. Now, last night we reported on Roger Waters doing a Julian Assange tribute concert for freedom of speech, freedom of the public, freedom of the media, free press, Oppenheimer Ranch Project, for Christ's sake. That's why he was doing it. And you know what? Just like the March Against Monsanto. Nothing. I could have fucking told you that, Julian. I could have told you that. You should have called me. Hope you got something out of the video. Hurricane Dorian, Cat 3. Should increase, in my prediction, up to 125 mile per hour winds before it decreases and moves up the coast. The eye wall will careen from Charleston up through the Outer Banks. If you're not prepared, you haven't been listening. We love each and every one of you. Mistakes cause deaths. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Be safe.